Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Title Update 3. With the release of AT Nu Udra, we have a new armor set that actually impacts the meta. Not just, yeah, it might have a specific use in one build, but it's straight power creep for a lot of builds, a lot of weapons in the game. For us, we'll be looking at things like the helmet and the chest in specific, as well as most weapons with that chest. The helmet for us provides us with 3 levels of burst in a single slot, which is crazy. And you got the perks of the 3-1 slots for utility, which is really nice. Normally, you'd use 1 level of burst and not overcommit to it. But because we can just get the burst from this slot, then 2 levels of extra burst in the build for more raw and element benefits, it's really nice. Then on top of that, you've got the very universal meta chest piece, which provides 2 levels of Counter-Strike, a meta skill on itself, but then 2 level 3 decoration slots, which is crazy good. So it's definitely some real power creep going on here and provides dual blades with some simple but effective updates for your top builds. But not just that, the no RNG talisman builds, the baselines as it were, they're even better because of pieces like this, since you can craft everything. Our next important note is of course Josh and his deserved credit for the work he did on the builds today. While I play dual blades and can talk things through with him about it all, he's the veteran of the series who did the math and made the choices for the sets based on it. And of course as well, thank you to DTL Nor for the data mining of the talisman potential, putting it out to the public so we can actually understand what is possible and come to these conclusions. So with that said, let's begin. Before we cover any of the sets, there's an important reminder for evade window and your food buff. As usual with dual blades, you want to eat specific food for a specific buff. Evade window is a skill that makes it easier to trigger your demon boost mode to land perfect evades and maintain that. We don't want to waste decoration slots on that, since we can eat food to get the tumbler meal buff instead. As you can see, it extends the invulnerability period when evading. It's basically evade window. It comes in low and high forms, low being 2 levels, high being 3 levels of evade window. Since you can get it here at the Azus Feast, that's our ideal option for all the other buffs it provides and 3 functional levels of evade window. You can do normal meals for less benefit, for tumbler meal high in other sources, or low if you're forced to. But if you're playing dual blades, you're eating for tumbler meal. That's why the builds today have a lack of evade window. Let's explain the sets today. Basically, I'm presenting 2 core sets with 2 different options between it. You have the specific Thunder set and you have the all element set. This is because with the Thunder set, you have the Gaiakr's dual blades, which encourage a specific thunder resistance stacking set for heavy benefits for that element. We have 2 versions of this to show, the God Roll best possible version of the build, and then a no RNG version that's going to use a crafted talisman, giving you a baseline to start with. We do the same again for the elements that aren't Thunder, a God Roll talisman setup from max potential, and then we've got a no RNG crafted talisman setup to give you a baseline and immediately get into dual blades. We begin with the 4 elements build, so here's the weapon setup for that. An artian weapon with the elements slapped onto it, with little commitment to it currently, which is just all attack infusion, all attack boost with the 1 sharpness boost for its reinforcements. For the offensive decorations then, you're looking for 3 critical boost, 3 of the element attack, whatever it is, water in this case for this water weapon, and then the 1 level of critical element if you can get it. Otherwise you'd have 1 level handicraft there instead. And lastly we have the 3 levels of razor sharp for your sharpness management and 1 bonus of handicraft if you can get it on that god roll. So let's begin with the peak version of the 4 element set, the strongest version with the highest potential. A big change here comes from the AT Nu Udra pieces, which allows us to actually achieve guts tenacity, which is a great raw increase, and the benefits of those individual slots of helmet and chest. So to take a look at the build, we have the new Nu Udra Gamma helmet and chest, of course. Then we have the Gamma Ray gloves, finishing off the 3-piece of Gamma. Then we're going with Gore 2-piece as usual, both in beta for the waist and the legs. Then we get to the talisman. This is the god roll we're talking about. What we're using for the god roll setup is a talisman with 3 crit eye on it, where we dedicate that 1 offensive slot to critical boost, resulting in 4 crit boost total for the build, where the crit eye is going to give us more affinity, getting us closer to a high reliable affinity. If you can get any bonus 1 slots just for utility, that'd be nice, but isn't required, which is a great thing. The second skill is up to you between weakness exploit and adrenaline rush. Whichever one you have, you swap the decorations around to make sure you have the same skill list in the end. Anyway, we use these decorations to achieve this skill list. 4 crit boost, 3 crit eye, your full water attack and razor sharp and the handicraft, with the crit element. Then for the armor set skills, we have full weakness exploit, full constitution, 3 burst, 3 count strike, antivirus, the 2 adrenaline rush, 2 random evade extender, 1 divine blessing for me here, and the 1 random flinch free. In terms of important set bonuses, obviously this is the 2-piece of gore, giving you the affinity with the frenzy potential, which is why we're using antivirus of course. We now have the 3-piece of gamma, giving us guts tenacity for the percent boost to the attack. And yes, technically we have bad blood 1, which deals additional damage while the resentment skill is active. It's basically irrelevant. In regards to your many 1 slots then, you can see that I run a bit of physique, which is getting us that Constitution 5 out of 5. I only need 3 decoration slots for that, so I use all the Nu Udra helm for that, leaving me with 1 slot here in my random talisman that I just give to Divine Blessing. You could run this in a different way, whatever feels comfortable to you, but I would recommend Constitution over anything else, because it's going to help you stamina management for dual blades, which is super important. But if you wanted to have more Divine Blessing for defense, you can always do that. Let's take a look at the math to show how good this is. We have 225 base raw, increased by 5% thanks to Guts Tenacity now, bringing us to 236.25. We have these flat numbers, bringing us to 288.25. Multiply that by 32% with white sharpness, and you get to 380.49. Then we have the affinity, 72% reliable, from weakness exploit, antivirus, the base artian, and now crit I3. We maximize that affinity with crit boost 4, which is a 37% damage increase, 72% at the time of course, so it's more like an average of 26.64 damage increase. Multiply that by our last number, and that brings you to a very impressive for dual blades, 482 effective raw. And obviously you got the benefits of the element that you're matching for the target, as usual with dual blades. This results in 6 effective raw increase compared to the Title Update 3 version, which is awesome. Not to mention a reliable element increase, because we now have 2 more levels of burst added in for free with the Nu Udra Gamma helmet. The levels being free is important because, there's no trade or sacrifice happening for that. Normally you'd have to make some sort of exchange, which isn't worth it, but since there's no sacrifice, we just get those 2 extra burst levels. So the element here is slightly better too. Let's now cover the no RNG version of the 4 elements outside of Thunder. The idea here is we can use a crafted talisman to ignore the peak RNG option, letting anyone pick up the dual blades with this set, starting in what is an incredible position. For this then, we're using the Gore helm in beta. We've got the new Gamma chest piece from Nu Udra. We've got the Gamma Ray Dao for gloves. The second piece of Gore is in beta for the waist, and then we finish off the Gamma set with Duna's Gamma legs. Then, as you can see for the talisman, I'm using the Exploiter charm, giving us 2 levels of weakness exploit. You could instead use the Challenger charm and then just change your decorations based on what you need, but you just try to achieve the same skill list. So let's look at that. Here are the decorations that I use to achieve this skill list. We got the 3 crit boost, the element attack, the razor sharp, the handicraft, and the crit element. Then we have the full weakness exploit, 3 agitator, counter strike, antivirus, and quick sheath randomly. We have 2 Constitution in this set naturally, which is nice, and 2 Evade Extender, which is welcome. Then you got the 1 Adrenaline Rush, Burst, the 1 Evade window, which is really nice. So with the eating that we're doing, it'll feel like you got 4 Evade window, and the 1 Coalescence for some benefits for your element that are irregular. This of course gives us the 2-piece of Gore for the affinity, and the 3 Gamma for Guts Tenacity for the raw increase. Let's take a look at the math to compare. 225 base raw again, still increased by 5% from Guts Tenacity, bringing us to 236.25. We have these flat increases, including the 3 agitator with the assumed 65% uptime, bringing us to 287.25. Multiply that by our white sharpness, 32%, bringing us to 379.17. We have 65% reliable affinity with this set, from weakness exploit, antivirus, the base artian, and then that 3 agitator again. And we have 3 crit boost here, so that's a 34% damage increase, 65% of the time. So it averages out to a 22.1% damage increase. Multiply that by our last number, and that brings you to 463 effective raw. So it's 19 effective raw less than, say, your ideal set, but it's not a massive gap there, is it? And compared to the last crafted talisman set of this concept, it's gained 12 raw from that, which is a huge jump in base power for a set that anyone can make without RNG. That shows you how good AT Nu Udra has been for dual blades. But that brings us to the Thunder sets, starting with the max DPS version with the God Roll Talisman of course. For the Thunder set, sadly you don't gain enough in skills to make the trade for Nu Udra pieces like you would with the Helm. The reason for this is that you're just giving up too much Thunder resistance, which as a trade isn't really an upgrade. This means it's the same best set from Title Update 3 and that update, and in terms of God Roll, so let's quickly cover that. So the crux of the Thunder set is the Legaicrus dual blades. So these, as you see, compared to Artian, 220 raw, no affinity, but 250 thunder. The big benefit here though is obviously 2 levels of power prolonger is nice, but convert thunder resistance, taking your element resistance from thunder and boosting your thunder element, which is well worth investing in. With that in mind then, in the decorations for this weapon, we get the full thunder attack and then 1 bonus level of razor sharp that could be handicraft instead. Then we go for 3 crit boost with the remaining slots. Here's a fast overview of the set since it's the same as before. We have Ray Dow Gamma for helm, chest and gloves, then the Legiacrus in beta for the waist and the boots. For the God Roll Talisman, we've got your familiar 3 attack boost, with the offensive decoration going to 1 more level of attack boost to get that percent increase. Then we have 1 level of something. That is Adrenaline Rush from me, but it could be, say, Weakness Exploit for you instead, and you swap the decorations based on it. And thankfully, you don't need to worry about the extra 1 slots. They're just utility, nice to have if you've got them, but not required to make the build work. With that, we use these decorations to achieve this skill list. Full Weakness Exploit, 4 latent power, the full Counter-Strike Thunder Resistance, 2 max might, if you have the bonus 1 slots to the Constitution, or something else as a utility skill. We get 2 evade extender, and then we have the 1 adrenaline rush and 1 burst, and finally a bonus stamina surge. Here's the quick math to cover why this is so good. It's 220 base raw, increased by 7% from guts and attack 4, brings us to 235.4. We increase that by our flat numbers here, bring us to 286.4. Multiply that by a white sharpness, bring us to 378. Then we have 62% reliable affinity, with 3 crit boost behind that, so that's a 34% damage increase, 62% of the time, averaging out at a 21.08 damage increase. So I multiply that by a last number and get this with a lot of decimals, which rounds up to 458 effective raw. But the big deal here is the element, so let's look at that. We have 250 base element with the thunder. Increase that by 20% from Ellie Attack 3, bringing you to 300. Then we have these flat numbers, including the convert thunder element and thunder resist 3. That's 160 extra element, bringing us to 560. Let's debloat that and get the true element, which is 56. Multiply that by a white sharpness, that's a 15% damage increase with element, bringing us to 64.4 effective element. But you have more potential here if you're actually using feasts, which give you the extra thunder resistance you want, so absolutely be doing that. But basically, you've got fantastic effective raw and ridiculous thunder element in this set. But if you don't have the God Roll Talisman, it's still worth engaging with this concept, even with a crafted talisman. So here's a no RNG version of that set. So again, you're using the Legiacrus Jewel Blades, and so you're going to want thunder resistance. It's the same decorations as before, thunder attack with a razor sharp or 1 level of handicraft there, and the 3 levels of crit boost. Here's the equipment we use. It's the Ray Gamma helm, the new AT Nu Udra chest piece in Gamma, the Gamma Ray gloves, and then the Legiacrus 2-piece in beta for your waist and your legs. The crafted talisman we go for is the Power Charm to give you the all-important levels of latent power to help that effective raw. Using these decorations, we achieve this skill list. Full Weakness Exploit, full latent power, your full Counter-Strike and Thunder Resistance is very important, 2 Adrenaline Rush, we benefit from 2 levels of Max Might, you got 2 levels of Evade Extender as a little bonus, the 1 Burst, the 1 Stamina Surge, and of course, we got the 2 Legiacrus piece and 2 Ray to increase the duration of latent power. And with the 3 Gammas, that gives us Guts Tenacity for that attack power boost. So compared to the God Roll set, it's going to have slightly worse effective raw for sure, but still enjoys high thunder element and is still worth using over the 4 element set for thunder specifically. And what's great about this crafted version is that there isn't even involvement in RNG artian weapons because you're using the Legiacrus Jewel Blades. But yeah, there you have it. That's my overview of the new sets for Jewel Blades. Arch-Tempered Nu Udra has had some fantastic impact here. The first real power creep for wilds that's basically just more skill levels and bigger slots really. I'm glad the fight itself lived up to the whole Hunter Rank 100 requirement. I do think it is a lot more challenging than the other Arch-Tempers so far, and yet the gear has actually had an impact on meta. Overall, Jewel Blades remains one of my favourite weapons in wilds, easily, so anything that makes it stronger in any way with these updates, I'm very happy with. So yeah, I hope this was useful, and if it was, do drop a like. But until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thank you for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.